Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Line.
What? Line?
Line.
Oh,
Yeah.
line. Hello. How's that?
Good.
That work?
It's great.
Hello. Welcome to Wednesday, Leap Day. So that brings, and it's Wednesday, which means that Chris Potter joins us, the editor of Pittsburgh City Paper, and Wednesdays are Chris's day because that's the day your paper
Every
comes.
day is my day.
No,
That's
no,
what it
no,
means
no.
to be the boss.
Not up here. Not up here.
No.
You know, people are under the misapprehension, it happens all the time, that you are my boss. Thank you very much. That
Really?
pretty much answers that.
God,
Yeah,
that, folks,
he is not my
folks,
boss.
that is one headache I do not have.
Let's make this very clear. I don't have a boss.
That's right.
Yeah.
She's unfettered by restraint or supervision.
I love it. It's what I've always wanted.
Right, yes, exactly.
And I've left a string of bosses.
broken managers in your wake. Shattered like little toys on the floor. Their limbs bent back.
Yes. So
So you just wanted to make that clear today that I'm not really in charge of you. Is there a
yeah,
reason that
because
was
somebody
important?
said the other day, and I guess it all of a sudden it popped back into my head because it had rankled me at the time. Well, Chris Potter, I mean, your boss, what is it? And I thought, what do you mean, Chris
Well,
Potter?
wait,
I
what was the rest of it?
I can't even remember because
see.
I got hung up on that part.
Yeah. That guy must really be a jerk.
So,
Yeah, I see.
all right. Somehow I'm having a brain freeze. Oh, I know. I know what happened. When I said leap day, that's what messed me up. Okay, so leap day. Driving to the bus stop.
Driving to the bus stop.
Yes. Driving to
We're
the
all
bu-
going to be doing that pretty soon.
Yeah, man.
Anyway.
Driving to the bus stop, I had MSNBC on or something on because I have what do you call that? Satellite radio.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
And I'm listening to MSNBC, and Chuck Todd said
Oh, good.
something about leap day and leap year and the fact that it's a presidential election year. And then it immediately occurred to me, well, heck, yeah, if every 4 years is a leap year, then has every election year been a leap year as well? Because
Yes.
he apparently
Except-
not. There was
Except
one.
there was 1 year because every
Why?
because it doesn't. The way the calendar works out, it doesn't exactly work out that you do one day every 4 years.
So what
you have
happens
to every. I think it's something like years divisible by 100 but not by 400. Omit.
Are you making this up?
No, it's something like that. Like those years, every couple hundred years or something like that.
You have to what?
You skip.
You skip
the
one
leap day.
leap. You skip a leap day.
You skip a leap day.
God, what nuts. Okay, so every presidential election has occurred on a leap in a leap year except one.
Yeah, maybe one or two. I mean, I don't remember how it works, what the exact thing is. But yes, most do, except one.
Okay. Well, that answers that.
I'll also say, for those who are interested in this sort of thing, I was trying to think earlier today. The paper came out today. There were five Wednesdays in this month, and so there were 5 issues of City Paper, in a February, which
Oh my gosh!
Which probably has never happened in the history of the paper. I'd have to go back and figure out how many.
5 Wednesdays in a February.
It's the shortest. Obviously, you almost never have that happen. There's a couple months every year where we have.
So a Wednesday
5
had to
issues.
be. Wednesday had to be the first.
Yes, Wednesday was the 1st and the 29th. Yeah. Amazing.
I'll tell you, it's stuff like that just makes my head.
Boggles the mind.
Oh wow. Okay.
That would be good to know, though.
Okay, so then also, a block later, the MSNBC, they came up with another thing, and
Right.
I thought, what would that... they were asking the question of... Or somebody said, I don't know, I'm happy. But here's the gist. Apparently, only 5 sitting presidents have lost in a re-election bid.
Yeah.
In the whole history of the country? Well, I'm thinking just in our recent purview. I mean, you've got Jimmy Carter, you've got H.W. Bush.
Oh.
Yeah, you got Jerry Ford.
No,
they counted. Yes, they counted Ford because they were saying, and we even count Ford.
Okay.
Even though he wasn't elected the first time he ran.
Sure.
We're talking about sitting president. There's 3 of the 5 right in our lifetime. So who? Can you think of any others?
Who didn't and who weren't assassinated, of course.
Right. See, I'm not good enough at 19th century presidents.
Warren G. Harding, was he reelected? No, he died in office.
He died in office.
Yes.
So who are those other 2?
I don't know. Poor bastards.
So
Well, you put it all together. You got leap days and 5 issues of City Paper. The end times are at hand.
Yeah,
it's all written.
Very odd day. So incumbency for a president is just huge.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure the Republicans didn't think for a minute that Bill Clinton could survive and be reelected for a second term. And check that out. And I'm sure they were thinking the same about Barack Obama. Now they're not so sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although that was interesting.
What, last night?
Yeah.
Why? Why do you think of that?
Our boy Rick Santorum.
He self-destructed.
Yeah, that thing with the.
He lost it. He
throwing up on the.
Throwing up on JFK.
On JFK's speech.
I talked to my son last night, who's not political, but he said. So, he said, did you talk on your show about that? What a snob remark.
Yeah,
he
right.
was just laughing and laughing about it. He thought it was the funniest thing he ever heard. And he doesn't care about politics much. And then he was howling about, I guess, what Romney said about NASCAR, which I didn't even hear. But
the raincoats thing?
No, not the raincoats. But he was trying to say, yeah, I got friends who NASCAR.
Some of my closest friends like NASCAR.
Well, it wasn't that. It was something like some of my closest friends own the car. The owners. Right. So he was laughing about that. And
man, those guys seem to just really.
But it just seems like if Santorum had somehow disciplined himself from going off into his crazed, la-la land that we know he gets into.
Right.
If he had just realized that, that ain't gonna play, keep it in check. Sort of like Gingrich too. They can't control himself.
I think he can't help himself. I think he's sincerely. I think
he's a zealot.
Yes,
he's a zealot.
Sincerely believes in the utter rightness of his cause. I just think it's funny how
it cost him that primary.
He's the one who always brings this crap up, and people for years have been saying, "Shut up about it already."
I know,
and he keeps bringing it up, and then he's like, "Why does the media always want to talk about this? Why does it? It's because you say this crazy stuff."
Man. And you see, again, the more people hear that, the more they get nervous, to say the least.
And rightfully so.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, the college one, when I heard what a snob, I thought, is this like a joke? I thought he was making a joke. No. How do you attack somebody for saying I'd like all people to go to college?
And I think I think in the context what Obama has come out since to clarify and some with, I think, is I didn't just mean like the 4-year liberal arts school with the leafy campus and all. I also meant community colleges and various kinds of vocational programs.
Right.
So, yeah, and then, too, you wonder, like, okay, so, Rick, what does that say about you? You went. I mean, does Penn State not count? Does Penn State not count as college?
No, wait a minute. He's got two more degrees than I do.
Yeah.
He's got a BA, an MBA, and a JD.
BS?
No, I got the BS. Yeah. I have a BA and a BS.
Yeah. So Rick Santorum is actually better educated than I am.
And
because I only have a bachelor.
You only have a bachelor's. I only have a bachelor's. Barack Obama only has a law degree as well as a bachelor's. Yeah. He doesn't have an MBA as well. So Rick Santorum has more degrees than that snob elitist looking down his nose at you little people.
There was a great piece, I think it was in the New Republic online the other day, which is from one of his former instructors at Penn State, who's just like, A, really resented that, as you might understand, and B, like, turned up a paper that Rick Santorum had written in college. And guess what the subject of this paper was?
How everybody should have a college education?
Nope. It was the influence of political action committees on politics. He was already, at that level, thinking of working the angles, thinking of how to make it work. That guy was K Street before there was a K Street. You know what I mean? Like, he was already. He was directing. He was already, yeah. He was an insider. He was an insider before he was inside.
Well, if you stop and think about it, he ran the first. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the first time he ever stood for an election of any kind was Congress of the United States.
Yeah, I believe that's true.
Now, not many people do that either.
Yeah.
You start, you can see
that's
all
why
the
people.
He looks
so youthful today.
Yes, indeed. Well, he hurt himself.
Yeah.
Bad.
Although I saw he did well in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, which pretty much confirms everything I've ever heard about Michigan's Upper Peninsula.
Those are the Yoopers.
Yeah, exactly.
Oofda! The Yoopers. Now, don't cast
I'm not
aspersions
saying I've
on
never
Yoopers.
been there. I'm just saying it's what I've heard. It's what I've heard.
I mean, those Yoopers, as a Wisconsinite, want to tell you, I still don't get why that's not part of Wisconsin. I mean, look at the geography.
Right, yeah.
It's Wisconsin. Michigan stops because there's a Great Lake, and they somehow glommed onto that part of what should be. Those Yoopers belong to, and the Yoopers are very much like Wisconsinites. So don't you be making fun. I'm sure those Yoopers are all cheeseheads. They don't go for the Detroit Lions. They're cheeseheads. Yoopers, and they live in very
I'm glad I got onto this because
difficult circumstances. You've ever been through a Yooper winter? Although they're really having a bad time this winter
because there's no snow to speak of, or
they can't do their ice fishing. Their ice fishing shanties have fallen into the water. I mean, the ice is cracking.
It's kind of funny.
That's not. What?
I mean, I'm assuming there was nobody in it at the time.
Well, I don't know. I mean, how do you expect these people? That's what they live on. They eat their fish they do fish fries every night. Yoopers.
Oh, that's funny. Well, how come you don't know why they have why they're part of Michigan and not?
I guess
seems like the kind of thing you.
At least I was. I mean, I don't know. I must not have ever been exercised enough about it to bother looking into the history.
Some
but
sort of territorial dispute.
It was. It would have been a territorial
areas,
dispute. Yeah, it would have been. But somehow. They carved. It is bizarre. They carved that out and gave it to anyone looking at a map would say, "What do you mean that's part of Michigan?
Right. Yeah.
Might as well be part of Louisiana.
Yeah.
It could be part of Canada. It's as close to Canada. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Well, the only thing that makes sense is that should be Wisconsin. But I mean, that would only how many people are there up there in the UP?
Right. Hundreds of people would have to change their zip codes.
Their votes weren't even being because the UP isn't even in the same time zone as.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're central. Michigan is. Okay, we've exhausted this.
Yes,
you brought it up.
I did. I just thought it was funny. That's all.
All right.
Yoopers. I like that, though. So I'm glad I brought it up because
All
I
right.
never would have heard that otherwise.
All right. Oh, yeah, damn youpers.
So who knows what happens now?
Huh?
The other thing that's a little... The one thing is, it's a little sad, I guess, that Democrats weren't able to go and create enough shenanigans to get him the win there.
No,
I was sort
the
of against
Democrats
that
weren't
anyway,
going to save him. I
honestly.
mean, he shot himself in the foot big time. And if he doesn't start, if he wants this to keep going, he needs to exercise some self-control.
Like he's constantly urging the rest of us to
Yes,
do.
exactly.
Right.
Indeed.
How am I supposed to... Oh, never mind.
Oh, God. You know, really, though, you look at these, I mean...
Yeah, Les drives a couple of Cadillacs, and
Yeah, that was a good one, too.
Don't go to college. They're trying to indoctrinate you to being socialists.
I mean, where do you get these people?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's one of those things where there's just been decades of anti-elitism, anti-intellectualism.
And this is what it comes down to?
And I think it finally just, that stuff percolates in your head for long enough, and sooner or later you end up saying something, that just is completely beyond the pale. But when you look at in the past few decades, I mean, that's always been
Here's
the
what I
argument.
don't get. What is their... I don't understand their definition of elitist because...
You.
Obviously,
it's you.
Okay, it's me. Okay, right. Okay, it's me. But obviously, it's not about how many graduate degrees you have,
Right.
even though they would suggest that that's what it is, because as we said, Santorum has 2 more than I do, you do, and 1 more even than the prime elitist Barack Obama. So it's not that. It's the sense I get as an elitist is somebody who is liberal. Yes, you have to be liberal. Who tries to then engineer, do social engineering that causes you to live in a certain way, right? Is that what their problem is? Because how's that different from what they do?
I think you're overthinking this. I don't think there's.
What is it?
I don't think there's any consistent or logically coherent definition of elitist to them. It's just somebody who I don't like, and you, my base audience, also
Because
don't like.
it's not about going to Harvard.
It's not about their actual
Yale.
socioeconomic position or education level of educational attainment. It's just we don't like those guys, and we're going to try to. And this is what I thought was interesting about the whole debate about whether employers should be required to provide birth control. Is this was somehow portrayed as, oh, it's those elitists trying to tell you how to live your life. And of course, nobody was saying you have to use birth control. They were just saying
no, it has to be available.
It has to be available if you want to use it. And so there's this, but that's what they always do. It's always somehow you and I are always trying to tell other people how to live, even though on issue after issue we're far more libertarian and open-minded than they are. So there you go. I don't, it's just, but that doesn't matter. It's because what it really boils down to is we're accused of elitists. We're accused of telling other people how to live because what we're saying is you don't have the right to tell other people how to live. And then somehow that's an infringement on the Catholic Church or the conservatives' ability to boss everybody else around, and that makes us elitists. That's the definition of elitist.
Just unbelievable madness.
You're an elitist if you want to topple their elite. That's what it is. There, I solved it for you. See?
Thank you very much.
So we had that and youpers. It's been a good show already. Let's go home.
Okay. Well, I have to tell you, my Olympia Snow.
Oh, yes.
Olympia Snow, who I looked all over the place for these 2 pictures I wanted to bring in that I was going to hold right up there, and I couldn't find them in time. This is my Olympia Snow story. I always liked Olympia.
Sure.
Didn't you?
Great name. I don't really have a strong sense of her either.
Well, as a Republican goes, was she not a... Listen,
Yeah.
She cast key votes on economic stimulus and on getting rid of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. She has been, for the poor Democrats, the one go-to Republican in a lot of instances, not all, and she can't take it anymore. I often wondered why she, just get the hell out. She can't stand it. Can't take it. She
could have come over to the Democrat side.
No, she just wants to get the hell out, I guess. So, anyway, I always liked her. I always liked the way she looked.
Yeah, she's interesting looking.
Yes, very interesting looking. So, one night here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, actually right over at what's now the Westin, but at the time was the...
Omni.
Was it Omni?
It was the Omni for a while.
Then I want to say it was the DoubleTree.
Oh, it was the DoubleTree too.
Well, how the hell are you supposed to keep track of that?
Anyway, that hotel.
Okay, that hotel.
The convention center hotel.
I had to MC some big thing, Man of the Year. I remember that the big Man of the Year thing was Tom Usher. Who was he?
Yeah, he was the CEO of U.S. Steel.
Okay, good God. So there I am. How strange that.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I don't know.
How do you get these gigs?
Well, you know what? How I get these gigs? Because they know I'm a good MC.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Let's get Lynn Cullen. She's funny. So it was a black tie. I hate these things. And, ballroom, 500 million people I don't hang with, CEOs.
Right.
And I just assumed, I thought, oh, yeah, well, you got that black, it's a floor-length dress. It's a gown you have to wear.
Yeah.
And I thought, all right, yeah, you got that black dress, that you wore 10 years ago. I mean, because I don't get dressed up like that. So the night comes, and I'm got myself all dolled up, and I go to get the dress, and I put it on. It doesn't quite fit.
Right.
It sort of fits, but where it really doesn't fit, and I don't mean to upset you here,
I'll be okay.
is in the bust area. Yeah, it was slightly low cut to start with, but
Yes.
somewhere between the last time I'd worn it and that night, my boobs had burgeoned, so to speak. And so I put it on, and it's like, and I thought, oh, geez, but what could I do?
Gosh.
So
I think we've now discovered the real reason why you get invited to MC.
yeah.
Maybe show her that dress.
Right. Well, no. So the two pictures. One of the pictures is a picture that was in the scene column.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah.
Did you look like this?
This is a radio show.
Sorry,
Nobody
sorry.
saw it.
Sorry.
He was making fun of the picture that was in
That
the.
you went on about for 14 hours last
That was
month.
not in the scene column. That was in a
whatever.
news story.
You know what I mean.
All right, where I was
Yes.
making a face.
So-
Anyway. Okay, I was in the scene column, and I was standing next to a KDKA personality, Larry Richard.
Sure.
Who was there for some reason.
Also looks good in a low-cut dress, by the way. Oops. I shouldn't have said that.
And let me tell you,
Yeah.
it's a good thing they cut the picture off where they did, because
Yeah.
it's the two of us, and it's not just me. You look at that picture, all you can see are breasts. It just looks like bruh. And I thought, oh my God, is that awful? So that's one of the pictures, and I wanted to bring that so you knew I wasn't kidding about this dress.
Okay.
So comes the event,
Right.
and we file in, and then I have to take over after the dinner, and I rise to the podium and start doing my thing. And it's a huge ballroom, and they have 2 or 3 big screens set up, which show people in the
Right.
cheap
in the
seats.
peanut galleries, right?
Right, what's happening at the dais. Dais?
Yeah, whatever.
Dais,
You
whatever.
know.
Yeah. So there was one of those things pretty much right in my eyesight. So I'm up there and I'm talking and talking. The mic was a little low, too. So I had to, I sort of was like leaning down to get to the mic. You're ahead of me here. And, oh my God, I happened to at one point sort of like look up. And I saw my boobs on this huge screen. I mean, it was like 5 feet boobs. And it was like, and I let out a scream. I let out a scream and grabbed the nearest napkin. I said, oh my God. And that's why they asked me to MC.
That's what I'm saying.
Stuff like that.
So,
well,
where's the Olympia Snow part?
Okay, so I said, oh my God. And I mean, so it became this running gag for the rest of the night, my boobs, with all these fancy schmancy people there.
Right.
So Tom Usher eventually gets his award, and he comes up.
His evening has been totally overshadowed
by my breasts.
Yeah.
And he gets up, and he, in thanking all the people, says, and I really want to thank my dear friends, Olympia Snow and her husband, who was the governor of Maine, who were for some reason friends of his.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Probably has
Republican
vacation home
CEOs,
or
who the
whatever.
hell knows? I don't know. And I thought, I hadn't even seen her. I thought, geez, Olympia Snow, I love her. So, I don't know, I might have made a few Olympia Snow jokes when I got back up. I don't know what I did. Anyway, it finally, thank God, ended. And I, who had a, napkin tucked in my, I was up there with my black gown and napkins wrapped around my neck. And then finally I went and got my wrap and put it around. And then they gave me a whole bunch of flowers at the end, and I kept the flowers right here.
Right.
And there's a riotous picture of me and Olympia, who fought her way through the crowd to get to me. She did. Along with her husband in tow, and they were both laughing so hard. They were still laughing. She said, "That was the funniest thing I've ever seen."
That's very nice.
I know. She said, "I want to listen to your show. I said, "You don't want to listen to my show." I said, I rail against you Republicans all the time, although you're not,
Right.
And she said, I don't care. I got to blah, 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 blah. And there's a picture of her and me and the governor, her husband, and I'm holding my flowers like this. And we're all laughing so hard we can't see straight. So that's my Olympia Snow
What was
story.
she wearing?
She was very, she's always very sort of
very well
buttoned
put
up,
together and
regal.
buttoned up,
Yeah,
yep.
she's very regal.
Yeah.
Very, very regal. So there you have it. That's my Olympia Snow story. I made her laugh.
There you go.
Too bad you ain't watching this, bud.
Yeah, that's right.
But so I was looking for both those pictures so you could see the extent, because the picture with Olympia, you can't see the boobs because I'm covering them. Okay, so that's my picture. Okay? So now they say that actually the Democrats could pick that one up.
Yes, I've heard that, yeah.
Okay.
Like a 70 or 80% chance, said Nate.
Well,
Silver.
who knows? They've got a Republican governor. I mean, they elected.
Yeah, although that guy's not exactly...
He was a Tea Party guy.
Yeah, he's not exactly
Doing well.
conferring credit on his state. So
No.
There's party for that matter.
Okay, so this bizarre Brinks robbery. It's not a Brinks robbery,
Yeah,
but
it's an
whatever
armored
that.
car
But
thing.
I thought it was odd. It was under the 31st Street Bridge. It sounds like the kind of thing you make a movie out of.
Right.
And that's right where the 31st Street Bridge is where the movie thing is being built. You didn't think that was interesting?
I did not.
Didn't occur to you?
And I'm still unconvinced.
Right.
That's a terrible thing that happened to that
It's
guy.
a horrible, horrible thing, but this guy could get away with it. The guy who
He had a few hours, it sounds like.
It sounds like,
the
yeah.
truck was idling for a couple hours there, which is weird.
So if he had a few hours to get out,
Yeah.
he could be gone.
Yeah.
If he had, he could have gone straight to the airport and out he went.
Yeah.
If it was planned. That's why I'm saying it's going to be a movie and it might end up being edited at the very place the murder occurred. Is that not odd? You refuse to agree that
wait.
that's odd.
No, I'm just doing
You're
it out of
both
spite.
telling me that I should stop.
She
It is-
thinks it's weird. Jess.
You're saying it's in bad taste to even mention it. Okay, and speaking of...
I mean, I'm not your boss, as was
Okay,
recently
but-
pointed out. So.
But speaking of horrible murders, okay.
Yeah.
I want to give you the opportunity to rail against the Tribune Review.
Well,
Because, the other horrific murder in the news is a shooting in...
Chardon High School outside of Cleveland. I don't know that I want to rail at the Tribune Review. What happened? This is the story, the perils of social media. The Trib yesterday on its front page ran 3 photos of somebody who the Trib said these are photos posted by the accused shooter. And the photos showed a young man like holding guns and like being all badass, and then holding up a sign which said something about high school massacre, and then it had the date February 26th on it, which was Sunday as opposed to Monday, which is when the shooting happened. But anyway, so they ran this. The Alt Weekly, the sort of Pittsburgh city paper of Cleveland, which is the Cleveland Scene, reported on like Monday, these photos have been circulating around Twitter, and people are like, oh, is this the shooter? This is the shooter. Everybody look, it's the shooter. Is this the shooter? Apparently, It's not the shooter, or at least a lot of the students at this school who knew the victims, who knew the accused.
Well, now that you've seen pictures of the shooter who was taken into court the other day, and you've seen the other one, is it the same?
They
person?
They don't look similar to me. Although, I mean, what do I know? It's not clear like when the photo was taken. He could have shaved his head. He could have done all kinds of stuff. So I don't want to definitively say they're not. They don't look very much alike to me. So what's now happened, and there was a TV station in Cleveland who ran the photos but blurred out the face and said, look, we do not know that this is the name that we have heard, but the authorities have not confirmed this is the suspect. So we are not going to give the person's name or show you the person's face.
Which you would suggest
they showed the rest of the...
Okay, what you would suggest is proper journalism.
Well, I don't know that. I mean, honestly, I don't know why you I don't know that it makes sense to show the photos at all, and apparently most media outlets did not. But the Trib not only ran them, they ran them on their front page above the fold. So there's a story in today's Trib, now that these questions have been raised, where the Tribune Review is now kind of belatedly saying, not everything you find on Twitter is necessarily legitimate. And, they haven't definitively said we were in error, and I don't think they can say that. I mean, the authorities have not said one way or the other whether these photos were of or taken by or connected to in any way the accused shooter. And, of course, until that happens, and maybe even after that happens, it won't be entirely clear what the situation is. But it does seem like one of those perils of social media. I mean, a lot of reporters too were using Twitter to sound out sources, and and the thing is, people aren't always necessarily who they say they are on Twitter. There are people who just troll it. There are hoaxsters. There are people who will use any tragic situation to kind of put one over on people. So it remains to be seen what's going on there, but it's definitely a weird decision that got made over there to run photos that basically were simply, and apparently they were posted on a Twitter account that had the guy's name, and was then subsequently deleted. So who knows? And he had a Facebook account where he apparently, wrote a lot of stuff late last year about how pissed off he was and angry and everything else. So, it's just it's one of those stories that as an editor there but for the grace of God. Yeah.
Okay, we better take a break.
Okay.
And I've got a lot more than 5 presidents here that I just Googled that lost. So we got to figure this one out. And very quick break. Frighteningly quick for our salespeople. But we'll be right back.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
Pittsburgh City Paper's annual summer camp preview is available now. It's time to pack up the kids. Pick up one today for Gaelic Storm, Carmeletta Tropicana, Buckwheat Zydeco, and Disney on Ice. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com.
Far from the city where the Lorax roams free is the home of a magical truffle of trees. They grow happy and healthy and thick as you please, just waiting for visits from yous and from me's. Whoa. In a place you will love with things you'll adorest. It's a magical spot. We call it the forest.
Look, everyone here needs the trees.
And who are you?
What? I'm the Lorax, guardian of the forest. I speak for the trees.
Visit the animals. Come see the plants. From the mighty sequoia to the tiniest ants. Discover its beauty. Take time to relax. See brown barbaloots or even the Lorax.
I feel so alive!
I just like hearing you say it.
The forest is there for you to explore. So come once to see it, then come back lots more. Visit discovertheforest.org. This message has been brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the ballet, opera, city theater, science center, symphony, history museum, and the Carnegie. bergbargains.com, Pittsburgh's only online deal site where the deals don't expire. bergbargains.com.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
That was some fantastic canned music in that commercial break there. I was just bum, 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 bum. Yeah, very nice.
Okay, so there's more than 5 incumbents who... I didn't think that made any sense, so maybe I misheard heard the whole thing. John Adams lost to Thomas Jefferson. John Quincy Adams lost to Andrew Jackson. Martin Van Buren lost to William Henry Harrison. Grover Cleveland lost to Benjamin Harrison. And then, Benjamin Harrison lost to Grover Cleveland. Payback.
How many incumbents can you think of who declined to run for a second term? I can only think of one.
LBJ.
Well, that's a little...
What do you mean? He said, I will not run.
No, it's true, but he already had...
No!
He had more than one term, though, because he was serving out the better part of... You're right, though. I mean, that's a good
wasn't...
point.
You said how many incumbents...
Yeah, no, you're right. So that's a good one.
LBJ...
Yeah. I can only think of one other.
Who were in and said, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I just said, that's it. I've had enough. I've had my fill.
I cannot think.
James K. Polk.
Well...
And the only reason I know that is because there's a They Might Be Giants song about him.
There's a There Might Be
They
Giants
Might Be Giants,
song.
the band They Might Be Giants.
Okay, about James
K. Polk. Yes, one of our more successful presidents.
Can you sing a few bars?
I will not sing that song. But the last line is, precious few have mourned the passing of Mr. James K. Polk, our 11th president.
Aw. Well.
Yeah, so he made sure the tariffs fell, made the English sell the Oregon Territory. He built an independent treasury. It's pretty hard to rhyme this stuff. But yeah, he was a very he basically showed up. He showed up. He said, I'm going to do like these 4 things. He did them, and he was like, that's really all I set out to do. So I'm going home now. Whoever does that, who does that? That's right.
Good for him.
But now you can't even do that because if you're a lame duck president, you let people know, then the long knives come out for you.
Okay, incumbent presidents who did not seek another term.
There you go.
Did not seek another term. He was the first, Polk.
Okay, there we go.
Also followed by Rutherford B. Hayes, Teddy Roosevelt, but he came back.
Yes, yes, he did.
Calvin, he didn't seek a...
He did later.
Okay, but
he skipped.
Calvin Coolidge, Harry Truman...
Yeah. Lyndon Johnson. There were more than I thought.
Okay, Truman could have run again. Yeah, because he just he became president after. Huh. Wow. It doesn't seem to make sense that Teddy Roosevelt would have walked away.
But he didn't. He came back.
But he did. He was the incumbent, and he said, I'm out of here. Why?
Is that how that went?
Yes.
I'm trying to remember how exactly.
Okay.
There was more to it than that. He had to go shoot some Cubans, I think. No, that's
no. That was before
there
the
were
first
some
time.
dark-skinned people to
And
oppress.
then, I mean, the ultimate...
There were endangered species to mow down.
The ultimate put-down is, of course, being the incumbent president and not securing the nomination from your party for a second term.
Right.
And that has not happened in the 20th century.
Yeah, it looks like it.
But it happened a lot in the 19th century. The presidents who were dissed by their own parties after 4 years in office by not even getting the nomination were John Tyler, Millard Fillmore,
one of the great names,
Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, Andrew Johnson, and Chester Alan Arthur.
In fact, if you look at that, what's interesting is most of those happened in the years leading right up to or right after the Civil War.
That's right.
James Buchanan, of course, is the only president to ever come from Pennsylvania, and a dismal failure by every reckoning.
By every reckoning. And sometimes whispered to be the only gay man who was president, but I suspect there were others.
You used to hear rumors about Lincoln himself.
Well, that's because he shared a bed with some guy.
Yeah,
but they
hasn't done that.
Yeah, they all shared beds. I mean, if you read, the founding fathers were all sleeping with each other. I mean, they were. I said sleeping. They were. There was that famous story where somehow Benjamin Franklin and John Adams ended up in the bed together because there were, that was it. There was one bed. And it was cold, and you cuddled up, and I guess Adams got really PO'd because Franklin liked sleeping with the window open.
Yeah, I somehow just imagine Franklin being the guy to hog the blankies too. Don't you think so? That's a guy who hogged blankets. He lived. That was a man of considerable appetite. He lived.
That's why he's my guy. He's my guy.
Well, this is an interesting historical discussion.
Okay.
And by interesting, I mean incredibly dull. Sorry.
I know you hate Maureen Dowd, but I thought
That woman. Yes, go ahead, though.
I know why you hate her, because you think you'd be better at her job.
No, I don't think so.
Yes, you would. Okay, here's Maureen Dowd today. Mitt Romney needs to be left alone to limp across the finish line so he can devote his full time and attention to losing to President Obama.
Yes, okay, that's fine.
That's
See,
pretty
that's
good.
Yes,
that's good.
Very trenchant, yes.
And then she goes on to say how, this is just pathetic. It's all over. And she quotes McCain, who is freaked by what he's calling a Greek tragedy,
right,
which is the primary season for the Republicans.
To me, it's a Greek comedy.
Yes, yeah.
So whatever.
Yeah,
okay.
We're all laughing.
It's a thing by Aristophanes, but go ahead.
If you're a Republican, it's a tragedy. And he went on to tell the Boston Herald, it's the negative campaigning and the increasingly personal attacks, the likes of which we have never seen.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, oh, dear. And then Maureen Dowd says to that, wow, when a man who was accused of having an illegitimate black child in the 2000 South Carolina primary thinks this is the worst ever.
That is saying
and he
something.
thinks the GOP is really in trouble. Ain't that the...
Of course, it's somewhat his fault. I mean, he did bestow upon his own party the legacy of Sarah Palin, who I think who became such a standard bearer for so much of this stuff for the past few years in a lot of ways. It's not all his fault. I mean, it's Fox News and everything else, but he's played a role in that.
She does have the quote in here of Romney at NASCAR trying to pal around with hoi polloi. Here was the quote. I like those fancy raincoats you bought.
That's
really sprung for the big bucks, huh?
They're wearing ponchos.
Yeah, they were wearing all those plastic ponchos. Why? What did he have on? His Burberry or something? Right. I mean, gee.
Made out of seal fur.
Yeah. I like those fancy raincoats you bought. Really sprung for the big bucks.
I understand those cars run on petrol. Some of my closest friends run oil companies.
That's right, exactly. He is clueless. I almost feel sorry for him. I mean, he wants to be president, thinks he'd be good at it, but he doesn't like to.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to relate to people.
Well, I mean, that is, I sympathize with that. I mean, the problem with the democracy is the voters. I think you and I have said it many times on this station, so you can understand why he'd sort of want to keep his. Yeah, he's got that Poppy Bush thing going. He's just not. Just is not credible.
Yeah.
And trying to do that.
And she says that the more Mitt talks, the more curious his and odd his pronouncements are.
Yes.
We haven't mentioned the one about I like the trees.
Yeah.
They're the right size.
Right. Well, the reason he was doing that was because that was a product placement for the Lorax movie, actually. Danny DeVito popped up right behind him. Hiya, folks!
I like the lakes.
Yep.
I like the daffodils. He is just weird. So these things that come out, and then when
that cloud looks like a bunny.
Yes, and when he tries to relate, he comes up with things like, hey, I really like those fancy raincoats. Hey, really sprung for those. Did you see, and I didn't bother to look, but somebody on YouTube has a video of what his dog would have.
Yeah, I heard of it. I didn't see it, but I saw
somebody made a
of
video, obviously, in a crate on top of a car going 60 miles an hour.
Right. It was a rush.
But she says that as Romney's quotes get more and more just weird, Santorum's get creepier. That's the word she used for Santorum. Creepier. And they do. Just creepy. So this is the Santorum, yes, that Pennsylvanians tossed out on his keister by an 18% margin.
Yeah. And look, James Buchanan, we do not pick good presidential fodder here. It's just not what we grow. We do fine with dairy farming and other stuff. But.
Although, the last debate,
yes,
there were 4 of them there.
Yes.
That'd be Gingrich, Romney, Paul, and
Ron
Ricky.
Paul also.
So I looked and I thought, good God, 2 of those 4 are from here.
And they're
from
nuts.
Pittsburgh.
They're crazy.
And they're both nuts. And they're from here. And who else is from here? Orrin Hatch. He's a little bonkers too.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
What is it with us that we give we create totally nutso Republicans here.
Especially because the political climate here is, if anything, kind of...
Well, maybe that's why they react in some way to it, and they don't have proper role models around them, and they end up, I don't know.
Can I just say, apropos of that YouTube thing of the dog cam, you know what I'd like to see? I've always wondered this. What happens to dogs, like, on airplanes? Like, what's it like where the pets go?
Like, I don't think you even want to know.
I'd be interested in
It's in the baggage. Is it pressurized?
Yeah, I just would like to. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I assume it must be, right?
It's cold.
Yeah, I would be interested to know what that was like.
That's why you wouldn't want to do that to a pet.
If people find out, they probably would stop taking their pets.
Well, an awful lot of pets die en route or
Really?
get lost. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Do you know there's now an airline that does nothing but transport pets?
Helmsley Air.
Yes, it's something like that. No, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
My grandparents had a dog. This is a funny story, although whatever. My grandparents had a dog.
Never start telling a story by telling your audience that this is a funny story.
No, okay. So
we'll be the judge of that.
They had a little dog who was mostly Chihuahua named Mala, which means bad girl in Spanish. And part of the reason they gave her that name was because they were taking her on an airplane flight, I think to Pittsburgh. And Mala chewed her way out of the little plastic carrying case and somehow got out onto the tarmac at LAX, Los Angeles Airport, one of the busiest airports in the world, probably. And that dog was running around the tarmac, and giant L-1011 type jets were like stopping to avoid running over this tiny little dog.
So
that must have been
finally-
the greatest moment of that dog's life. And well, what ended up happening is my parents are sitting there waiting for their plane, and an announcement comes over the thing, which is like, with the owners of a small dog named Mala. And they were like, oh, like, come and get your dog.
Here, damn dog.
Nowadays, that dog would be shot on sight, of course, because this is post 9/11 America. But in those days, a dog could run around for a little while before.
Indeed.
So yeah, I think that's a nice. You just have to sort of visualize.
Did you see
tiny little dog?
You know, I just
want
to point out that what I said to you, the caveat I said, or the warning, don't ever start a story by saying it's
I
funny.
should've listened.
That Jess, who laughs at anything, was silent. You didn't even make Jess laugh. He's mortified. I'm sorry, because you're capable of doing better.
I know. Okay.
Yeah.
I think we've all learned something here today, Lynn.
So the big local story really is your crack reporter Lauren Daly is, as we speak, listening to, right?
She's there at the all-day
Port
extravaganza Port Authority hearing on proposed route cuts. For those interested in following along, she's on Twitter. And her Twitter account is at LN Daly, and Daly spelled Daley. So it's LNDALEY. And if you just tune into that, you can get the highlights and the lowlights, as it were.
Well, but it's all we know. I could pretend I was there and tweet what I'm hearing from the the people who are speaking. I mean, what do you say? I was on the bus today. I was looking around, and I was what I saw were a lot of students. Yeah. A lot of people with backpacks or they're looking at notes. They're on their way to places downtown where they study. I saw young mothers who drop their kids off at a downtown daycare and then head over to whatever job they have. And I saw older people who can ride for free on the bus. Right. I saw people like me who don't want to drive downtown and add to the
desperate.
Yeah, looking for a parking spot.
People without productive lines of work.
Exactly right. But who don't have bosses.
Right.
Hey. And what are they? I mean, I started to just thinking, okay, if I could just think of what would that person do if you took this bus away?
Right.
Could they not get to school? What would that woman with that little kid do? Could she not get... They don't have cars, okay?
Right.
They don't friggin' have cars. This is something Republicans don't understand because they got a couple of Cadillacs.
Well, even if they do have cars, I mean, a lot of the people who ride who get on in Shadyside to take the busway, or who get on the T.
Like me, they have cars.
Yeah, they have cars. So the other question is, then you want to look out the window of the bus and look at all the other people and say, what kind of city are they going to be trying to commute to every day if all of these other folks are now riding cars in and competing for parking with everything else? So, apparently Rich Fitzgerald testified early today and said, one of the things he said is, look, we've been trying to build up some momentum here on the economic front and in terms of being this livable city, and this will absolutely jeopardize it, undermine so much of what we've done.
Absolutely.
So you've got the Allegheny Conference, for crying out loud, which is generally not.
It's right wing.
Well, I mean, it's corporate, not the Allegheny Institute. The Allegheny Conference of Community Development. It's like all the CEOs in town, essentially. Right. Pro-business, corporate, da-da-da. Half those guys probably voted for Corbett and contributed to him, too. And these guys are there just warning this is the beginning of the death spiral. In fact, I'd argue that we're already in it, because you look at cutbacks happen. There's fewer riders. There's less money for the routes. This is just this downward spiral that we're already on. And
so what's going on with the Republicans? And they do control our state. Who and Rick Santorum here is sort of the voice. They really don't believe in public education. They don't believe in public transportation.
Yeah.
What the hell do they believe in?
Jeebus, mostly. They believe in Jeebus. Jesus, no. I would say this, though, about that. It's a little more complicated than that, because there is these issues, transit and education being two very good examples of cases where Republicans in the legislature, some of them and some in key positions, are more open to and concerned about these issues than the governor himself. There have been legislators who, during sessions, budget hearings and things like that, have basically called out the governor and just said, I don't understand what you are trying to accomplish here. The head of, our Lauren Daly has spoken to him numerous occasions. The head of the House Committee on Transportation is a guy from Altoona, Geist, a Republican from Altoona. And yet he gets transit issues. He may not fund it as much as we'd want them to be funded. He may have some different ideas or whatever, but he gets why it's an issue and why it's important. And they're just sort of waiting for it. And the other thing is, this Corbett administration is just incredibly passive aggressive about how it does this stuff. Corbett's like, well, why should we be expected? Transit's been a mess in this state for years. Why does everybody asking me to come up with an answer after just 1 year and change in office? And we need leadership from the state legislature. First of all, anybody who expects leadership from the state legislature, A, doesn't understand the separation of powers and how things actually work, and B, doesn't understand Harrisburg. The legislature in this state does not lead.
No.
It's the governor who needs
And anyway, half the leadership of the legislature is in jail.
Although many of those are ones who we'd also count on to be advocates of transit, unfortunately. There's some weird disconnect between the governor, between the executive branch, and where the priorities are for the legislature. And I've had legislators who are conservative tell me that, and I've had legislators who are very liberal tell me that. These guys are not on the same page.
The short-sightedness is just, I don't know. One despairs.
Indeed. Yeah,
one despairs.
You do.
And also, let me talk about it. So they're going to raise the price again. No. It's not cheap to ride that bus. I was stunned when I started riding it at how much it cost. Yeah. Now, okay, so for me to get to and from work, and I only am in one zone. Some of these people are in 2 zones, even 3 zones. I pay $5 a day, back and forth, right? Back and forth. That's $25 a week.
You should get a transfer. Don't you turn around and head back after an hour here? Oh, I bet it just saved you some money.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, you can pay an extra 25 cents for a transfer? I'm on a pass. Yeah.
What do you mean? So if I get on and what?
So you get on.
Oh, we'll do this off the air. But no, because I pay over $1,000 a year for my pass.
Well, now
Huh?
Oh, you do have a pass?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, then never
No,
mind.
but that
Then you're
pass,
screwed.
no. Well, I won't get one next year if what you're telling me is true.
Maybe not. We'll talk about it after.
Okay. But No. So if I could get by on $250 a day as opposed to $5, the pass doesn't say. Oh, the pass saves you 1 month, I think.
Oh, you
buy in a year.
get the full year pass. You got a yearly pass.
Yeah.
Ooh, la-di-da.
I'm telling you, it costs $1,000.
Yeah, no.
Now
no,
you tell me how many people ride the bus who can pony up $1,000.
Well, nobody does. They get monthly passes or weekly or whatever.
Which is a pain in the neck too.
It is.
God Almighty, what a bunch of jerks. Where were we?
You're decrying something.
I don't know. Oh, that's a safe bet.
Weren't you paying attention either?
Ansel writes, my take on Santorum's snob remark is that he's getting everyone ready for the demise of the college loan programs. I've heard him make claims that the more people become dependent on the government, the more the government can control them. That's what he tells them. That's right.
When you're supposed to be controlled by banks who would otherwise be loaning you the money.
Right.
That's
or your boss who can decide what kind of sex you can have and or if.
Yeah.
I think this is just a preface, Ansel says, to justifying the downsizing of the college loan system as we know it. Did you happen to hear Obama's speech to the UAW yesterday?
I saw.
It was a good one.
I saw, parts of it.
It was a good one.
Yeah, that's what I gathered.
It was a serious barn burner. He really looked like he was. You look at him give that speech, and then you look at Mitt Romney, and you think, oh, my God. On the other hand, you could put a gerbil up against Obama, and it's still about 50% of the country is quite willing to vote for the gerbil.
Probably more willing than they are to vote for
Romney?
For Romney at this point, man. It's
unbelievable.
I mean, look, I'd listen to a gerbil. I'm not saying that I'd vote for him. I just think, you got to give the message a chance. I mean, right? You got to keep an open mind in this country.
Yes, you always do. You always do. So, on to the gay front. More and more states, I guess so. Governor O'Malley, who, by the way, has a Pittsburgh connection.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Governor
in Maryland, yeah.
Martin O'Malley of Maryland is going to be signing a gay marriage bill there. But New Hampshire, which did already have gay marriage, is about to repeal it. They have a totally Republican-controlled legislature who, of course, with all the serious issues that are facing, I'm sure, that state, as any other, have spent their time trying to make sure that no other gays or lesbians get to have a marriage certificate.
Yeah.
And
this is have certificates already been issued?
Yes,
up there?
there's over 1,000.
So there you go. Now
there's over 1,000 same-sex couples, and apparently this measure would allow them to keep, but it would stop anybody else from marrying. And the governor is a Democrat, and he says, I will veto this. However, they've got such a strong majority. They have a veto-proof majority.
They make them do it.
So so they'll do it and blah blah blah. But listen to one of the lines from the bill. This is a bill sponsored by Representative David Bates, who absolutely believes that homosexuality is a choice.
Right.
And here's a sentence included in his bill. Children can only be conceived naturally through copulation by heterosexual couples in the state of New Hampshire.
Wow. I will say this about that guy. There's a guy who doesn't watch enough television because 9 out of 10 soap operas have people being artificially inseminated and everything
What's
else.
he talking about? Does that mean you can't do in vitro in New Hampshire? What is he talking about?
That's actually in the bill itself.
It says it makes it
Whereas
he even included a sentence. It says he wrote it. Even included a sentence that says children can only be conceived naturally through copulation. This is what the legislature's doing, talking about copulation and the only way to conceive, and it's not true.
Yeah. Does he not believe in Jesus? That's. Why do you hate Jesus so much, Representative?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, right.
Oh, yeah, because Jesus did not. Yeah, was not. There was no copulation there.
This isn't some Roman myth, Pally. The other thing about that too is this same thing happened in California too. Is now you've now there are gay couples. There are gay couples who have been married. There's no legal. It's pretty hard to argue that there's a legally rational distinction for treating one set of people different from a similarly situated group of people. I mean, once you kind of open that door, it's really hard to close it again. In a courtroom.
I agree. So somebody's, it's going to go into the judicial.
Right, but then that's a winner for the Republicans too, because then if they lose, they get to denounce the activist judiciary who blah blah blah, and those are the elites. There you go.
There you go.
The elites are always the ones who prevent your elites from doing what they want to do.
I also think a big thing with the elite thing that they're doing with Obama and the snob thing is racial.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But it's harder. I suspect that's true, but on the other hand, since they always do this, since they always have done this, it's hard to argue.
Yeah.
They treat everybody like crap, so that's not racism. We hate everybody.
Oh, and the funniest thing, when in the last debate, when the last question was, give us one word that defines you. Did you hear the word that Gingrich said defined him?
Bigger than Jesus. No, I don't know. What was it?
Cheerful. I mean, it's beyond belief.
Cheerful. Hungry.
It's just unbelievable. You talk about a little bit of a failure to have any kind of sense of self. Cheerful. He's a guy who's always like a crepe hanging. Oh my God! If we elect Obama, the United States is finished. We are already almost finished. It does. And actually, if you listen to the Republican Santorum, Romney, they sound, they always say that in fact it is the more cheerful candidate that wins. Right, that's what Ronald Reagan should have taught these idiots, and they are so not cheerful. It's incredible.
Well, what was Santorum's word?
Oh, it wasn't even an adjective. That's what's funny. I mean, one word that describes you, and his word was courage.
Oh my God.
There are a lot of people out there without the guts to go on to meet the press. But I have borne these outrageous slings and arrows.
All right.
What was Romney?
Huh?
Principled.
You think I understand?
Romney's was principled.
Probably principled. I don't even remember. One of them, I think, said consistent.
Yeah.
That was maybe Paul.
That sounds like Ron Paul.
But I don't know. I don't remember. I was so stunned by cheerful that I couldn't.
That's great.
I could go no further. That was it for me.
Cheerful.
Okay.
That's nice. What one word would describe you?
Cantankerous?
Oh. Yeah.
No, I would think. I don't know. I would say this. I would like to think grateful.
Oh, that's nice.
Seriously, grateful.
Yeah. Well, as your boss, I hate to disillusion you there, but
or we could go with neurotic.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good one.
Or depressed, but grateful.
Yeah.
Strange combination there, admittedly, but that's it. Okay.
All right, that's it.
Hungry.
The show's over. Hungry.
All right, Potter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sokolowski tomorrow, as far as I know. Okay? And you guys enjoy the dreary day. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.